is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes, and welcome to the weekend. It is Friday, February 24th, 2012, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world, and it couldn't have gotten here soon enough for me today. Yeah, anybody here know how to post videos on Facebook? I'll tell you about my Facebook exploits later on today, but let's get to the show. First of all, joining us from our virtual studio in beautiful Astoria is our senior news editor, Cannabis Carrie.
Yes, some Fridays seem like a much longer journey to get there than other Fridays, right?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. We'll get to that in the Radical Rant. I'm going to be talking about that today in a rant that I entitle, Cry Havoc and Let Slip the Dogs of War. We'll get to the
that sounds fascinating. I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll get to the Shakespearean reference there in a second. But before all that, we got to get first to our hemp headlines. Carrie's got those. What's in the news today?
Well, we're going to cover a story from Lakeport, California, where the county commission can't really decide about a cultivation ordinance. I'll tell you all about that. Also, we've got a county commissioner from Texas who is in some hot water over some trafficking charges. I'm going to give you as much information as I can about that anyway. And then we have some celebrity news. Where is Steve Bloom? He needs to come back because I don't really like giving you the celebrity news, but I'm going to do it anyway. So that's all coming up on Hemp Headlines.
All right. I've also got a story on a study that was just published today in MSNBC that says pot smokers are more likely to be slackers at work. I'll come up with at least 3 different ways to debunk that, if not 5. It's some pretty shoddy reporting. So we'll take a look at that in the headlines. Thanks, Carrie. Also coming up on today's show, it is Rockin' Friday, so we got Herb Thrasher calling in later on, and he's got the metal for you. Today, he's bringing prong. That's right, prong to the table with a song called The Banishment. And then at 1:30, well, it's the 4th Friday of the month, and that means it's time to talk with Danny Danko, the senior cultivation editor of High Times Magazine. He's going to join with us, and you can call in live at 971-533-7111 if you'd like to ask Danny Danko a cultivation question. We'll also get his take on the recent High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Los Angeles, and a look forward to the one in Denver in April. All of that's coming up on Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation, plus my Radical Rant on Facebook coming up later. Stick around.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Weedmaps.com. I'm Radical Russ from Norml. In my job as outreach coordinator, I travel every month, and when I'm on the road, I need a fast, accurate way to find the medical marijuana dispensaries in the area. So I turn to Weedmaps.com. Weedmaps.com has the best dispensary locator online or on your mobile device. Search by zip code or let Weedmaps find you, and in seconds you'll have the addresses, phone numbers, and customer service reviews for the medical marijuana dispensaries in the local area. Weedmaps.com also has a section devoted to helping you find a doctor who understands and recommends medical marijuana under your state's law. You can even check prices on the Medical Marijuana Stock Exchange. Coming soon, you'll even be able to find the listings of Norml attorneys and chapters, local head shops and grow shops, and the best weed-friendly businesses. Weedmaps.com has the information you need to be an informed cannabis consumer. Visit Weedmaps.com today, a proud sponsor of the Norml Network.
Aloha.
Aloha, this is Zion Thompson from The Green, and you're listening to Norml Show Live.
Hi, I'm Radical Russ. One of the best things about marijuana is the wonderful aroma. But when you travel a lot like I do, that aroma becomes a suspicious smell. That's why I endorse stealth-products.com, the leaders in smell-proof containers. From smell-proof vacuum bags to smell-proof backpacks and duffel bags, all the way to smell-proof digital safes, stealth-products.com has you covered. Stealth-products.com brings you safe, secure, odorless layers of protection with activated carbon fiber. Backpacks and duffel bags are simple black so as not to attract attention with a logo or flashy design. Now, nothing is perfectly odor controlled from the detection of drug dogs, but with proper vigilance, containers from stealth-products.com will help you avoid nosy humans.
You're now listening to Elliot Beats.
Stealth-products.com. Stealth-products.com.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carrie.
A Texas county commissioner was indicted this week on trafficking 50 kilograms of marijuana along with money laundering. El Paso County Commissioner Guillermo Gandera of El Paso was also running, or is also running, as a Democratic candidate for the Texas legislature. Gandera has a long history of public service and comes from a politically active family. He and his brother and father have all served on the local school board and city council. Gandera was also charged with 3 counts of maintaining property with the intent to distribute marijuana. The authorities in the case have already filed papers to seek criminal forfeiture of any of his properties that may have benefited from his alleged crimes. Gandera's attorney, Joe Spencer, says that his client is shocked at the allegations and that he and his client have not even seen the prosecutor's discovery yet, so they are not even sure exactly what the government is accusing him of. As for now, the prosecutors are seeking to hold Mr. Gandera without bond. He was arrested in, wait for it, Russ.
Oh, no.
Sierra Blanco on Thursday afternoon while his wife and children were driving from San Antonio. Now, they were stopped at a routine checkpoint. And seriously, Russ, I'm beginning to think there is nothing routine about the checkpoints in Sierra Blanco, where he was identified and apprehended, so they were actually looking for him. The children were on a semester break from school, so it makes sense that they might have been going on a vacation. But a hearing on his bond will be held next Tuesday. They're going to hold him at least till then, and they are trying to paint him as a flight risk since he was leaving the state when he was apprehended. Now, if convicted, he faces up to 20 years in a federal prison on each count. There's at least 3 that we know of. The special agent in charge of the DEA El Paso Division, Joseph Arabit, released a statement today about the matter. Quote, elected officials who engage in drug trafficking violate the public trust, as this lengthy investigation attests. DEA and its law enforcement partners are committed to holding drug traffickers accountable for their illegal activity, regardless of their position, and we will not allow the actions of a few to tarnish the honorable work that other government officials perform each day. The residents of El Paso County deserve no less, unquote. Now, we will wait while more details from this case emerge, and we will bring them to you right here on Hemp Headlines.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know, let's start with the caveat that nobody should be going to jail for selling weed, buying weed, growing weed, using weed, trafficking weed, reselling weed, whatever. It's ridiculous that we have this prohibition in the first place. Now, with that out of the way, I am shocked, do you hear, to find that a U.S. official, someone on this side of the border, might have been corrupted by the war on drugs. That's really stunning to me. I mean, we hear about it in Mexico all the time, these elected officials who are on the take or, you know, profiting somehow because of that drug war, looking the other way and so forth. But for it to happen on our side of the border, wow, that's shocking. This has got to be the first time this has ever happened. I know because our U.S. officials are so uncorruptible and so chaste and pure in their zeal and their vigor to want to fight against prohibition and lock up people like me that smoke marijuana. So this has got to be an isolated incident. I know there's just no way this could be corrupting U.S. officials on a large scale.
And on Wednesday in Lakeport, California, that's a community that's in Northern California, the City Board of Supervisors voted to place a marijuana cultivation initiative on the ballots this June rather than go ahead and adopt it as a county ordinance. Now, the board said that the document needed some changes that they would not be able to make. The Lake County Medical Marijuana Cultivation Act of 2012 has been making its way through the county initiative process, but now, as it is, neither the board nor the initiative's proponents can make any changes to it. And the document would need to go to the voters every time a modification in the rules were necessary. So the board is uncomfortable passing the ordinance as it is, pointing out that the initiative conflicts with county laws and contains a clause that would allow it to override existing county regulations. The initiative, as proposed, would allow qualified patients, primary caregivers, collectives, or dispensaries to grow up to 12 plants on parcels of a half an acre of land or less, or have as much as 24 plants on a half of an acre or more in residential areas. You can have up to 84 plants on any parcel of 7 acres or more. Now, County Supervisor Denise Rushing suggested that the county use the proposed initiative as the basis for a new ordinance, make any necessary changes, and attempt to have it finished and implemented by this summer. The Senior Deputy Counsel, Bob Bridges, says that the ordinance is conflicting with the Right to Farm Ordinance's intent and that the initiative will trigger federal scrutiny or even actions against the county. When home invasion crimes became a point of discussion in the meetings surrounding the cultivation initiative, one citizen said that his home was hit in 2008 for a coin collection, saying that home invasions are not a problem of marijuana. Many in the community would like the cultivation regulations to be in place by the time growing season starts, as now there are no limits, and both of the sides are asking for regulation. The county says they want to have more flexibility with a better ordinance and not to be locked into a flawed one. So far, the Farm Bureau Board has taken a position against the marijuana cultivation initiative. They say they are not in favor of adding any crop to the local agriculture unless it is recognized by the U.S. Department of Agriculture or the California Department of Food and Agriculture and subjected to the same taxation rules as any other crop. Now, the one problem with the initiative as written, as far as the county is concerned, is that provision that says if there is a conflict, the ordinance will always prevail over county law. Now, one idea is just to pass that ordinance, work out the bugs in this growing season, and place amendments on the November ballot or the June 2013 ballots. But for now, that Marijuana Cultivation Act of 2012 will be on this June's ballot, costing the county about $12,000. The move was passed by the board on a vote of 5-0, and we will let you know in June if the voters were able to get it passed.
Well, I don't even know where to start on this. I mean, one side wants there to be regulations, and the other side also wants there to be regulations, but they can't seem to find a way to come together and work that out, or come to find something that is going to pass muster with the other county laws or ordinances. It just seems like a big mess to me once again, because we're trying to dance around the obvious, which is that marijuana is prohibited. It's illegal. It's against federal law. It's against California state law. Even for those of you that are medical marijuana growers and patients, you're just getting an exemption from prosecution. It's still illegal. And we have to continue to come up with all these crazy ways and regulations and exceptions. And, oh, well, let's put zip ties on the plants. Or, oh, I know, let's find a way. All these different crazy things that we have to do that we don't have to do for corn or soybeans or home brewing or vineyards, right? We already have regulatory structures in place for agriculture, for horticulture, for business, for commerce, for producing crops, for selling crops. This already exists, and we are only prohibited from being able to use those existing regulatory structures because of the prohibition of marijuana for healthy people like me. Work on passing legalization, like Prop 19, a couple of years ago that a lot of you medical people fought against. Yeah, pass legalization, and then you don't have to worry about these sorts of problems. It's time to start thinking big picture and to think of all pot smokers, not just the sick ones.
And I really hate this kind of invasion of privacy, but if you're a celebrity, your daily activities become news. Miley Cyrus, who is no stranger to marijuana controversy, was photographed this morning leaving a California medical marijuana dispensary with a friend. Miley, who is 19 years old, had a video posted of her online when she was only 17, smoking salvia from a water bong, and on her 19th birthday, she was given a surprise birthday cake with Bob Marley on front of it. That video was posted on YouTube as well, and you could clearly hear Miley saying when she gets the cake, "You know you're a stoner when your friends make you a Bob Marley cake. You know you smoke way too much effing weed." So we can all speculate that this young woman is smart enough to realize that marijuana isn't too dangerous of a substance to experiment with, and she is a fan of it. But we can also speculate that in this day and age, marijuana might not be dangerous physically, but it could still hurt your career. Miley, I think it might help your career. So, Wes, what do you think? Miley Cyrus, cool stoner chick, or pretender for cool stoner chick points?
Well, I don't know, but this news is just coming in from our late-breaking news desk. Taylor Swift was just photographed coming out of a wine store with a bottle of wine and a friend. That's really about as shocking as what we're saying here. Miley Cyrus and a friend went into a dispensary and got weed in California. Oh, wow, shocking. Look, and again, it kind of like the last story here. The only reason Miley Cyrus would have to come out, oh, no, that wasn't me, y'all, or, oh, I was just making a joke, y'all, or, oh, it's my friend. Yeah, the only reason any of those celebrities have to go through that stupid shenanigans that none of us believe is, once again, because of the prohibition, because they'll lose their jobs, because they'll have trouble getting other recording gigs or getting their CD at Target if they're thought of as someone that uses marijuana. Kudos to people like Rihanna and some of these other celebs that have just had enough of it and said, yeah, I smoke weed, so what of it? Because they know they're popular enough to be able to get away with it. And I think Miley Cyrus is too at this point. She should just, come right out and say, yeah, I smoke weed, it's no big deal, it ought to be legalized, because I believe that's probably what she thinks deep inside anyway. That is, if I give her the credit of thinking deeply inside. Anyway, let me go to this other story here coming off of MSNBC.com and their behavior section. And the blaring headline of it, smoking pot tied to slacking off at work. Yeah, okay. So this is a researcher in Oslo that told Reuters Health they studied for 25 years. They studied 1,500 Norwegians starting in 1987 when they were in their late teens and early 20s. They filled out surveys that included questions on their recent pot use on 5 different occasions into their 40s. They also rated their attitudes on statements that reflected work commitment, such as, "It is very important for me to have a job," and "I feel restless when I have no work to do," ranked on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 reflecting the most commitment. People who reported smoking in the past year generally reported less dedication to work than abstainers, according to findings published in the journal Addiction. All right, folks, let's start picking apart what the problems are with this. Number one, maybe it could be that the people who smoke pot often are the ones that end up in jobs that are less fulfilling, that have less of their attention. Number two, it could be that people who smoke pot gain an insight and understanding to realize that the job they're doing is bullshit in the first place and doesn't really require that much of their attention and understanding. Number three, people that smoke pot generally are more intelligent than people that don't smoke pot, and thus may have a little less thrill with putting on the paper hat or filling out the TPS report than the person next to them. Number four, people that smoke pot tend to use less alcohol, and those people that use alcohol, we have parties for them at work. We have Christmas parties where they can drink all they want. And how about the people that are smoking cigarettes? Have we measured how much productivity we have lost, how much slacking off at work we have lost from the tobacco addicts who are going out every hour or two for a 15-minute smoke break? So, excuse me if this salacious headline of smoking pot tied to slacking off at work has got me a little hot under the collar, especially when I'm spending 12 to 14-hour days working and smoking pot all day while I do it. And furthermore, I have a long work history of being the guy who would always come into the office early and always leave late and always work through lunch at my desk, one, partially because I'm a dedicated employee, but number two, because I know they were always looking at me, ooh, we know he's a stoner, and I knew I had to perform better than the people around me lest I be subjected to a random drug test. So don't give me this smoking pot tied to slacking off at work. Furthermore, when it comes to the people that are drug tested for their jobs, when we look at the drug testing, that affects who ends up in which jobs. When we look at those upper management jobs, we look at professional jobs, jobs that are more computer-oriented, jobs that people might enjoy more, they have more of a chance of getting those jobs because those jobs test less for drugs. Now we got the people that work in fast food or work in construction or driving industries where they're drug tested all the time, and the drug test drives them away from using marijuana and drives them toward using other drugs that don't show up in those drug tests, other drugs that are flushed from their system much more rapidly, or taking drinking alcohol to excess. We've seen plenty of that. If you want to get a real study on whether or not marijuana affects people in the workplace, there is no way you can get a valid statistical sample on that until marijuana is legal, until it is as legal as alcohol, and we don't have all the confounding factors of drug testing, of the different jobs that you'll end up with because of using marijuana, of the situation you'll be in the criminal justice system because we just can't get an accurate take until we have the same level playing field for marijuana to be on as tobacco and alcohol, and I know we'll outperform them. Well, folks, it's just about time to take the last 420 break of the week here in the Pacific Time Zone. I hope you can join me, and if you don't got nothing, we're working hard to make sure you do. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would send you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Science is like a blabbermouth who ruins a movie by telling you how it ends. Well, I say there are some things we don't want to know. Important things.
There is a peaceful solution called a peace revolution. And now let's take back America.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Like millions of freedom-loving Americans, I'm a marijuana smoker, and I don't think that should be any of the government's business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana. The next time you light up, take the time to let your elected officials know how you feel. It's time we legalize marijuana and stop treating marijuana smokers like criminals. For more information on how you can help legalize marijuana, please contact Norml at norml.org.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today, we take you into the weekend with Rockin' Friday. Our segment features the best of rock, metal, punk, and jam band music. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tune.
Oh, man, that couldn't have a better time for some Rockin' Friday music than right today, and I'm so glad Herb Thrasher is here to bring it to us. What's up, Herb?
Not much, man. Yeah, I figured you'd have fun tonight, man. We're not having to worry about all this news and drama and all that crap. We'd be able to just freaking rock.
Oh, and speaking of rocking tonight, folks, we're doing Norml Rocks with Herb Thrasher tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, and the guest you have on, oh, I'm so thrilled.
Yeah, I'm so fired up, man. I've had a different show planned all week, and I've been working towards this Hellbilly show. We've got a great interview with Johnson Creek Stranglers and cool songs by them and all these other bands. And knowing that I had been working on, with Corrosion of Conformity, Mike Dean, I'd been working with them, Candlelight Records, and all of a sudden this morning, in my email is like, okay, Mike Dean's ready to do the interview, and he wants to do it tonight because they're going on tour next week. And, once you go on tour, man, I don't even want to deal with the band that's on tour.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, like you, all day today, I've been shifting and changing and emailing and calling and doing all this stuff. And so now, tonight, I'm so honored and just freaking fired up to have Mike Dean, bass player of Corrosion of Conformity, on tonight. We're going to talk about their new album. They got a new tour and a whole new vibe in the band, and just see what he's up to. And I'm just stoked, totally fired up. And if you are expecting the Hellbilly show and you saw my tweets and PR, don't worry. All that means is it just gets shifted till next week.
That's right.
And we'll still have that great show. But tonight we'll just do another thing, and it's also 20 years of Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power album.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a huge, huge album in the metal world and in my world. And we're going to talk about that and just see what's up and how that kind of plays into the whole metal, rock, cannabis world.
Right on. And folks, check that out. Norml Rocks with Herb Thrasher tonight at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. And if you're listening by podcast, you can get Norml Rocks on podcast as well. Just go to iTunes and type in Norml Rocks, or visit our AV department at norml.org/AV. So we'll get to that tonight. But right now, we got a Rockin' Friday 20 after break we got to get to. So what do we have on tap?
And so, speaking again, this is another one where I had to shift. I had this whole song planned for today that's kind of going to go along with our Hellbilly theme, and then all of a sudden I had to shift. And so I don't have a written kind of structured saying here, but I'm just going to go off my head and tell you what I know about these guys, because I got lucky in the fact that I know a lot about these guys. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. They're called Prong. That's right, Prong, Russ.
Prong.
And metal is heck. They've gone through the years. They hit a technical point, and a lot of electronic technical, and then he's kind of gotten back to metal. They're in the studio doing an album. But how this portrays is back in 1991, I went to see Prong, and Corrosion of Conformity opened up for them. So it was a great kind of tribute for me and a great tie-in. And so the song we're about to hear is called The Banishment, and it's off the Power of the Damager album that came out in 2007. And it's just a beast of a song. You'll be able to hear where he could have had some of this electronic technical stuff in his music. They're a three-piece band also, and like I said, they're back in the studio right now. They're doing a new album, and they're going to have the album out this year, and it's definitely one of the most anticipated albums in the metal world. So you guys go online and check out Prong. They have a website. They're at Prong Music's their Twitter feed, and they're on Facebook. And you guys check them out, and check out Norml Rocks tonight. Mike Dean, the freaking Corrosion of Conformity. And you guys have a great weekend and keep rocking. Here's The Banishment, because we need to freaking banish all them stupid laws.
That's right. Prong, The Banishment on your Rockin' Friday. See you tonight, Herb.
From those who think the straight, participate in denial, validate the luxury. Some poor, one left. Reason for me to hang around this place. I get more and more stress. Nothing anyone can offer more or less. Sun, grieving, closer to the end. at the end. Hello, that is made, exhibiting no refrain, eventually condemned for things unholy. Don't request a vote, no confidence to oppose, refuse to do being a pawn to your insecurity. Setting another point, best thing to avoid. Everything of this world becomes cruel and dirty. Passion and desire, obsession of a style. Capitalist constraints of urban glory. So poor, so I left. The reason for me to hang around this place. I get more and more stress. Nothing anyone can offer more or less. Time creeping closer to the end. Time creeping closer to the end. Smashed by someplace falls, smashed by irrelevant goals. I can never heal. Who can all break right? Drinking away the pain, crying until it rains. No reason to live or die with dignity. Put myself to rest with the curse I've always been with. Unlovable life, but gain with treasury. Self-inflicted men, thoughts continue in jet. The spirituality, keeping that away from me. Banished from this world, banished from its royal. I can only watch, grieve and pity. Stare at stupid lights, wonder at people smile. Laugh at a call for unity. So poor, so I left. Reason for me to hang around this place. I get more and more stress. Nothing anyone can offer more or less. Time creeping closer to the end. Time creeping closer to the end. Time creeping closer to the end. Closer to the end. Done grieving closer to the end. Feel like I'm breathing. How much more can I stand? How much more can I stand? Done grieving. How much more can I stand? How much more can I stand? Done grieving. Closer to the end. Closer to the end. Closer to the end. Closer to the end.
Hey everybody, it's Wiz Kaliko from the Ivory Island Hour, which comes to you live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Norml Network. I just wanted to let you know that two of my favorite bands are teaming up to spread good vibes across the land and are headed to a venue near you. Revolution is heading out on the second leg of their tour in support of the release of their new triple album, Peace of Mind, which includes full-length acoustic and dub versions. They'll also be joined by our boys from the land of Aloha, The Green. We're also promoting the recent release of their latest album, Ways and Means. You can check out a full list of shows, get the latest swag, and most importantly, find their music at revolutionmusic.com and thegreen808.com. Don't miss this amazing tour. I promise you, after these shows, you'll have peace of mind.
According to Carl Sagan, making apple pies from scratch is extremely difficult.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Space.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
This is Rev Ray Green of Green Central Station, here to tell you to bring it live Sundays with Lively Libra and Mr. Libra, coming to you from a remote location in Iowa. It's the Libra Lounge, your pot and politics hangout. Be a lounger right here on the Norml Network. And remember, kids, do your homework.
Right here, Wednesday evenings, 7 p.m. Pacific.
The Libra Lounge.
Mary, quite contrary. How does her garden grow? Don't ask me. I'm just the voiceover guy. Ask High Times Senior Cultivation Editor Danny Dango in our Norml Show Live's Cultivators Corner.
All right, it's time to sit down with Danny Danko, who I understand is on the move. Are you on the move, Danny?
I am on the move. I'm on my way home from work in a car driven by my colleague, Craig, and we are on our way back to Brooklyn right now after a long week at the magazine after coming back from the whole Los Angeles thing and everything.
Yeah, and thanks for doing that. Thanks for getting on the line with us. I know you're on your way home. It's like 7:30 out there in the East, so I appreciate it. And you mentioned the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup LA. Got to see you there. Had fun filming that backstage at the awards right there by Dan Sky and you. And it was his little measured chaos there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun, and we'll definitely improve on all the festivities as well in the future. But it was nice to plant the flag in Southern California, so to speak.
No doubt. So as far as judging the Cup this year and the Cup winners, we've done a few of these now in the United States, in San Francisco, Denver, and Detroit. How's LA? What's the differences? Are they better, worse, just different?
I mean, it's great. It's definitely very heavy on the Kush. Obviously Southern California, it's like you got Larry Kush, OG Kush, 100 different Kushes, new ones being invented all the time. So that was like definitely part of it. But people are very sophisticated, and the patients and the connoisseurs in that area really aren't fooled by anything that's not really top notch, high quality cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just having that much variety to sample from on a daily basis for year after year after year will tend to make one a little better educated on the subject for sure. So as far as the strains, maybe I'm going to ask you this question because we got it with Jorge Cervantes the other day about strains or varieties. So should I be saying which varieties of cannabis? Is that the proper nomenclature?
Yeah, I mean officially variety is the proper nomenclature, but I think colloquially people, will, always continue to use terminology like strains and even strands, which always kind of bums us out once in a while when someone says strand. But it's very colloquial and kind of one of those things that changes over time as well.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like the marijuana versus cannabis thing, right? That some people want to make a huge deal of, and I understand and I respect it. I get the racist origins of its use, and that technically cannabis is the plant, but still colloquially we'll say marijuana strains. So it's going to happen. Yeah. So as far as the marijuana strains in LA, I mean, what did you think? What do you have to report for us?
Well, my favorites on the indica side were probably the Kosher Kush was really an amazing strain from DNA Genetics, entered in numerous different dispensaries. And then on the sativa side, there was something called Sonoma Coma, which actually comes from Northern California, but they've really
grown out a great version of it in SoCal. And that's the other thing that I was kind of emphasizing is that you're judging the grower as much as you're judging the strain. So, it's got to burn properly and have a good flush to it and all those things. So people wonder why this strain beat out that strain. And sometimes it's not just the strain another strain, but the grower competing with a different grower.
Sure. And when it comes to the judging and the voting, I heard something rumbling around about a change in the voting procedures or a change in the scoring this year.
Well, I know my colleague Nico's really kind of taken the front seat as far as where it comes to the judging. And there's not so much changes as we've automated the process, so you can actually use your smartphone or your iPad to actually enter your scores. If you're one of the judges, you can use all these new technologies to enter your scores rather than having to transfer from written documents. We always want people to do the written documents as well, but it makes it much easier to tally the scores and make sure that there's no anomalies as far as how people are multiplying their scores. And we have the labs as well doing 30% of the testing. So the THC percentages and CBD percentages and CBN, all that factors in as well.
Right. Now, as far as electronic tabulation, I mean, you've been out to the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, right? You've seen their barcode and scan system. Any ideas of ever going on to something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as we progress, the idea is that we would love to incorporate some of that technology, which you can actually watch it almost like a horse race.
Yeah.
The way that they do it, with all the different factors being tallied up and entered in real time. So, ultimately our goal is to get it out there so that people can see it as it's being tallied and everything. Yeah.
The more transparency, the better, because I know there's some people, in our community, sometimes we're a little prone to conspiracy theory, and some people are like, oh, it's all fixed, man. This one guy fixed it. On that subject, let me segue to this. The Incredible. Now, I love The Incredible. I think it's a great product. But was it the fourth or fifth time they've won that award this time? Is that true?
They've won, between best booth and best product and all those different awards. I think they've won more than 10 different awards in the last few between, Denver, San Fran, Amsterdam, and Los Angeles. I mean, they've got a great product, and I think they do a great job of promoting it. And I think, people get bogged down in this whole, fixed thing, but the truth of the matter is it is somewhat of a popularity contest. I mean, you have to, showcase whatever it is that you're showcasing, and, people tend to gravitate towards the booths where, they're getting something, they feel like they're getting their bang for their buck.
Yeah.
So,
good boothing. It's someone who knows how to run a booth.
And
well.
I think it's that way in, every other industry out there.
Yeah. Well, and again, free plug for Incredible. I love them. They're fantastic products.
It's a great product, and they've adapted the product to suit the needs of people nowadays with their whole, concentrate craze and everything.
Right.
So, more power to them.
Yeah. But there was a few other products that I saw there that I also wanted to get your take on. I saw one, and Ganja John got one, and he brought it here to the studio. It's literally the size of like a woman's mascara container, but flat, and it's a vaporizer, and it's a little cartridge vapor. It's just and really good, really works well. And I apologize for forgetting the brand name of it, but wow, I mean, there's some really cool products coming out. Were there any there in LA that caught your eye?
Oh yeah, all the little, micro pens and stuff. The issue with those is really, how easy is it to replace the cartridges or to refill the cartridges once you're through with your sample version or the first one that you bought. How do you refill it? And so the ones that are going to rise to the top are the ones that are easiest to refill and replace. But at the same time, there's so many of them now that we're literally, we're going to be writing a review not just of vaporizers, but of actual just vaporizer pens. Bobby Black is going to be doing that in the near future.
Oh, that's awesome.
So many.
Well, yeah, and the thing for me is that with these little vaporizer devices is there's just so many of them coming out there that the one that's going to succeed, and this is I see a parallel in information technology with like open sourcing and all that kind of stuff. The one that's going to succeed there is the one that has the most standardized cartridge that, say, these dispensaries could start loading their oil in as a standard thing. You know, like if they found one that took like that standard, and I see everybody with these little plastic round containers for their oil, and if you were able to just put it in like a shotgun shell and be able to use it like that, I think that's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely, and let the strongest company survive and do that, because it really is an amazing device. It's very stealthy. All the new ones that I've seen, the level.
Going through a tunnel out there in New York. We got Danny Danko on the line. He's on a cell phone in his car in New York right at the moment. So we'll see if we can get him back on the line. Still says he's on the line, so we'll see if he can connect. But we were at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Los Angeles, and it was just an amazing event, and we had so much fun there. Danny Danko and the folks from High Times were great. We appreciate all their help. It was a lot of fun. I think he's going to be lost on that call. So we're just going to go on here and continue the show. So stick around. When we come back, we'll have time for a radical rant, cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war. We're back right after this.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 20s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stop arresting law-abiding citizens because they prefer marijuana over alcohol. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges. We're unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people each year simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They're average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact Norml, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Well, I have a few things to say, but I want to open up with some words from the Bard.
Do we not love? Trick us, do we not bleed? Wrong us, shall we not revenge?
Our revels now are ended, Kirk. Cry havoc! And let's slip the dogs of war. I am constant as the northern star.
I'd give real money if he'd shut up. to be or not to be.
All right, so cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war, among other Shakespearean quotes from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. And that came to me today. I thought of that today in my Facebook war that I got involved with a Facebook page called Patients Against I-502. And you're welcome to look it up if you want. You can check Facebook if you like. I'll give you a sample of how it started. It started with a picture that I saw, a post that someone pointed out to me that had a picture of Abnormal Russ, as they labeled it. That's a picture of me from one of the events, I forget which, smoking a great big spliff. And it says, I-502 is pot legalization. Abnormal, Radical Russ. And the caption that went along with it from the Facebook page was, what is he smoking, right? You know, like prohibitionists use. Right. Oh, what are they smoking? That's what we get from the Patients Against I-502. So I wanted to just point out, if we want to go back to another Star Trek saying, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Politics is the art of pragmatism, the art of the possible, not the pie-in-the-sky idealism that is willing to wait as long as it takes to get the perfect legalization. As we went through this on Facebook, I got into numerous different people there that were arguing their cases, and one of them made the case that basically we are dooming patients to an avalanche. They were going to be doomed to an avalanche of DUIs because this will be passed, yada, yada, yada. And I said they kind of got the metaphor wrong, because if we're going to talk about an avalanche, then we're the ones, the 16,000 healthy Washingtonians and the other Americans, 850,000 of us, that are arrested every year for marijuana. We're the ones suffering in an avalanche right now, while patients have been safe in the ski lodge with their pound and a half and 15 plants staying cozy by the fire. We're the ones suffering the avalanche right now, and you're the ones who are unwilling to stop the avalanche because you're afraid you might get stopped by the cop for a DUI on your way home from the ski lodge after you'd been token up at the fire all day long. So excuse me if I'm just a little upset about this. And cry havoc, let slip the dogs of war. The reason that came to me is because this is a war. There's a war on drugs. We've been told it's a war on drugs forever and ever and ever. And if this is a war, then my enemies are the ones who want to keep me a criminal. My enemies are the ones that want to throw me into a cage for merely possessing marijuana. And when I am risking jail time for a gram, to have people that have a pound and a half tell me I have to wait another year or 2 or 3 or 4 or whoever knows how long it takes before the let's legalize all the marijuana you want, anytime you want, anywhere you want, with no controls, no regulations, no restrictions, and set free all the pot prisoners initiative of 2012 or 2013 or 2014 finally gets enough signatures and finally makes the ballot and finally has enough money behind it and finally has enough big name supporters and finally can get 50+1% of the people to vote for it. I'm sorry, can't wait. Can't wait that long anymore. And here's some of the things that have led me to get to this point. Number one, Prop 19 in 2010, I championed so hard and was so excited for the notion that we might finally break through and pass a legalization initiative. And I was furthermore, I was exalted and someone had to eat some crow on this because it was being funded out of the life savings of a millionaire who'd made his money from medical marijuana, even though I'd been saying for years and years and years, watch out, when medical marijuana becomes an industry and they start making money, they're going to do anything they have to protect their bottom line. And yet one of them put up $1.5 million to put legalization on the ballot. And I had to listen to Patients Against Prop 19 and dispensary owners who are making money largely because recreational consumers like to get their doctor's permission slips and not get busted for weed, in California especially. Them making the money off of us and then voting and exhorting people to vote to keep us criminals. And during that time in 2010, I remember so many of them, the Dragonfly de la Luzes of the world, saying, we'll just put the better initiative on the ballot next year. Next time it'll come around, it'll be a presidential year, and we'll vote for the good legalization, the true legalization. Well, it's 2012. I don't see any ballot initiatives making it in California yet. In fact, the last time before 2010 that California had a ballot initiative to legalize marijuana was 1972, and ironically was called Prop 19 as well. So, Washingtonians, are you ready to wait until 2040 for your next chance to legalize marijuana? Hey, I'll give you, let me be more charitable. Let me be more charitable. They voted for marijuana legalization in 2006 in Colorado. They're likely to get it on the ballot here in 2012. So it looks like about every 6 years there in Colorado. Are you willing to wait until 2018 until Washington gets another chance to vote for legalization? Now remember, every year we wait is another 16,000 people that get a marijuana arrest. 16,000 people unjustly convicted for merely having marijuana, not growing, not driving, not using, not making, merely having marijuana. And you want to tell me, because somebody who's been protected for 13 years from arrest, who might smoke all day, every day, and might be above 5 nanograms per milliliter when they first wake up in the day, and might get in their car and might go driving and might exhibit some sort of impairment or, God forbid, get in some sort of accident that might lead a cop to believe they were impaired, and the cop might have probable cause to take their blood, and they might believe that they're impaired, or maybe he's just a dick. Maybe the cop's just a dick and smells pot and wants to bust this guy anyway, but that might lead to a DUI conviction for this guy. 16,000 of us need to be arrested next year. Really, I mean, this is the choice. And this is why I say cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war, because some of the people on this are saying, well, you have more respect for these people's that they have a problem with the per se DUID. No, I do. Hey, great. This is America. Vote the way you want. But my free speech is going to be telling you what I think a stupid idea that is. Because when you're going to have a chance to legalize marijuana, you do not pass it up. You do not vote on the same side as the drug czar, as the DEA, as the cops, as the people who've been oppressing us all these years. This is wartime. And you're either on the side of ending prohibition or you're in the way of ending prohibition. Now, I get people that'll say, oh, Radical Russ hates patience. Recreational Russ has to have his ounce. Radical Russ hates patience. Look, my wife is a patient. My good friends are patients. I never wish any ill on patients. That's why I supported medical marijuana in every state, every time it came up, even though it wouldn't directly benefit me. Now, indirectly, it's benefited me. I'll agree to that. But it wouldn't directly benefit me because I know that we have to have compassion for people. And if we can help, and if we can do something to end some prohibition on some people, that's better than ending no prohibitions. So all of us recreational people got behind that. You wouldn't have medical marijuana if the toking population that's healthy didn't support it in droves. We waited. We bided our time. We stayed in the back. We also, at many times when these medical people would come up and say, shh, don't talk about legalization. Shh, we want to make sure these are two separate issues, two completely separate issues. Don't talk about legalization. You'll ruin it for us. A lot of us did. A lot of us held back. A lot of us didn't say nothing. And now you want to tell us, oh, just wait a little longer. Another issue will come up. Another initiative will come up someday. Don't worry about this one, another one. It'll be better. It'll be true legalization. Well, I'm sorry. I don't have the time to wait anymore, and neither do 16,000 Washingtonians who will get a ticket next year, or not a ticket, who will get arrested next year, and the 630,000 Washingtonians who smoke pot every year who live in fear when they do that, or because they do that, or have to alter their lives because they do that, or don't get the job they like because they have drug testing. And they have to pick a different career, a different line of work. Or the people who've had that used against them in their divorce or their custody issue. DUI is an offense that you commit when you abuse a driving privilege. Let's remember, driving is a privilege. Being arrested for marijuana is an assault on your absolute civil liberty. Not your privileges, your liberty. Smoking pot is not a privilege. It's not a privilege you get because you're sick. It's not a privilege I get because I'm healthy. It's a privilege we get because we're Americans and we're human beings. I'm Radical Russ for Cannabis Care and everyone here at the Norml Foundation. Thanks for joining me. If you want to talk about this, the lines are open. Norml provides an open forum. We pay to have a phone number, 971-533-7111. All callers welcome. Bring it. Let's talk. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Take it out one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Events shouldn't be rushed. One should savor it like fine wine and enjoy its aroma.